हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा ओम विश्वकर्माय नमः ओम विश्वकर्माय नमः ओम विश्वकर्माय नमः ओम वास्तुपुरुषाय नमः. All right, so we are starting Vastu today. And as Anu will tell you, she's attended some of my sessions. It's one of my favorite things to teach. And we'll also be doing this for practitioner students sometime, either I think end of this year or something. And if anybody wants to audit those sessions, you are more than welcome to. But it'll be an advanced one. Anyway, let's get started with what is Vastu. Who can tell me? What is a Vastu? Whatever comes in your head. What is Vastu? Energetics of location, beautiful. Alignment of home, similar to Feng Shui, awesome. Let me go back and say, ask you, what is Feng Shui then? What is Feng Shui? Alignment of home. Okay, that's a good one. Right. So Vastu, so Feng Shui is usually in and around the home and garden. Vastu is the science of architecture and engineering that also includes home. So it is the Vedic, I'm just going to write it here, Vedic architecture and engineering. And you know, Hinduism, every single one of our Vedic arts, whether it's Natya Shastra, which is basically dance and music, or anything, is always has a presiding deity. So the presiding deity is Vishwakarma. So I started the class by saying, Om Vishwakarmaya Namaha, Om Vishwakarmaya Namaha, Om Vishwakarmaya Namaha. Has anyone done any changes in their house or had a contractor work on something, or you got a new remodel? Anyone has had that in their life? Have you done that? Yeah, anyone? Nobody's ever done a remodel. Jenny, you have. Okay, all right. So how does it usually work? You do a remodel. Yeah, you get a contractor, or you get your husband or someone to do it for you. Oh, Christina, it'll happen. Watch, it'll happen one day. Don't worry. It's a matter of time. Yeah, exactly. This is why we need Vishwakarma. So we need to do puja of Vishwakarma, and by Vishwakarma's blessing, you have certain days you start with. Then all your remodel and everything will be fine. Yeah. I was going to share at some point later, we're all going to be sharing designs of our home and blueprints, and we're going to see, even if you live in a rented home, it's okay. But I have to tell you the story of one of my students who did the Ayurveda counselor, and she was a great Ayurveda counselor student, very, very awesome. And she was an artist, and she fell in love with Vastu. And then she became kind of a Vastu consultant. I've had so many people who went, but she learned from me, and then she kind of learned herself. She went deeper. She came to me for some extra sessions that we did on the side. And then one of the things that she does is she makes these beautiful pictures of Shri Yantra and the Yantras, and she sells them for like $600. They're amazing. I have pictures of some of her yantras, so it's quite amazing. Yoga teachers and yoga studios will get her stuff. So and she does graphic design, photoshops, all of this stuff. So and I said, what happened to Ayurveda? She's like, that's on the side. Yeah. So this is Vastu. Let's get into it. So the root word of Vastu is Vasa or Vasa. So let me write that down. Oh, I've already written it here. Vasa. So in Sanskrit, we'll say Vasati. Vasati Vasa. Vasati is residence. Where do you live? Kimtu Vasati, something like that. Thank God Atul is not here to check my Sanskrit, right? Uh, so basically, where do you live? Vasati. And from Vas tu means you. You where live, right? Vasa is live. And a person who creates a place where you live is called Vastuvit. And the name of this particular architectural. So does architect need to know principles of engineering or not? Why? Because they need to look at the land. They need to look at the slide of the land. And I mean, for now, I would even add environmental. Exactly. Like if you're in an environmental zone which is sensitive, they need to, you should not dug down to the aquifers. I don't know how many people live here in Texas, but in Houston, let me just give you an example. The way the city is designed, they started digging into the city's aquifers and they filled it up. A lot of those aquifers got filled up and shopping malls and houses were built. And that's why the city is now prone to hurricanes and flooding, because you need to have these places where water runs, right? And there's another example of another city called Chennai in South India. In Chennai also, and I've heard this, I'm not from Chennai, I've heard this because Dr. Priyanka lives in Chennai. So this is, I have heard this secondhand information. They've done the same thing in Chennai because it's near the ocean and everything flows to the ocean. So aquifers go downhill. And if you, fill the aquifers with earth, sand, and make houses on them, then the land will flood. Does it make sense? Yeah, so that is part of the Vastu, right? So the site of the foundation of the house, the land it sits on, the ground, habitation, homestead house, the group of houses, the way the plat of land is cut. Sometimes you have a plat of land which is going, in different directions. And Shastra means it's a teaching, it's a scripture. So basically, it incorporates principle of design, layout, measurement, ground prep, space arrangement, spatial geometry. Now there are two things. Because I have studied formally Vastu also with one teacher, and I have been studying informally from the Vedas. So Atul and I have been studying architect, engineering, and Vastu, and we get into fights about it because he can read Sanskrit and I can't. Then we got all these Sanskrit texts and Malayalam texts from University of Madras. And anyway, it's been fun. We've been doing this for the last 2 years, and he's been working with the 3D rendering design, and it's been fun. So we've kind of been teaching ourselves. So my knowledge, what it was a year ago and 2 years ago and 3 years ago, has gone up and up and up and up. And I've also been doing, by any means, I'm not an expert. Let me put it out there. But because I'm an academic person, I would say I'm a student of Vastu, just letting you go there. And we, one of the things that, there are two systems. The traditional system is how the temples were made. It's very precise, the length should be 11 meters, 3 by 4 feet or something like that. And one is not very precise. When you're making a home or laying down a city, the city has to be precise based on the environment. Right? If you're in the west coast versus east coast, where the mountain, it changes, right? Anyway, we are mostly concerned for this class Vastu of your home, not of so much of the land. For practitioner students, land, you're going to be going and making keystones and putting the keystones in the land, and so on and so forth. But for the counselor students, kind of only concerned with, and this is something you can do on the site. You can, you have no idea how much people, when people are making houses or design for a Vastu consultation, people can charge thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's a good, charging $250 for a Vastu Ayurveda consultation is a steal, let me tell you, and we'll get into it. But if you do like a Ayurveda consultation, yeah, $250 is a good price actually, because this is you end up spending 2-3 hours just on the Vastu plus the Ayurveda, so it's like 4 or 5 hours of your time. And the idea is we want to invite good energy, auspicious devas and or angels to reside with us and to repel negative energy. Is everybody clear on what Vastu is? Yeah, awesome. Mm, I think this is the same thing. Okay, let's look at what Vastu Shastra is. Vastu Shastra, the ancient Sanskrit manuals of architecture. So if you look at the architecture, the person who, so in ancient Vedic, you had the person who makes the temple or holy places and like the palace of a king. And then there was a Vastu Shastra for normal people who live in normal houses. And those ones were very precise. But the ones we are not concerned with that very precise exactly how much, we are not concerned with that. We are mostly concerned with the one and the Manasyalaya Chandrika is one of the manuals. And I also have another manual pulled up on Google, which I'll share with you in a bit. So if you're interested in kind of diving deep, these are good things. This Vastu and Jyotish is only 35 hours. So we are not going to like dive into detail. However, like I said, people, for some reason, I don't know why a lot of students get interested in this. And like I said, if you want to audit the practitioner lectures when we do it, you're more than welcome to. And then I'll suggest some books for you to buy. If you're not going to go deep into it, do not buy the book. It's not part of the syllabus. There is no book for this, but I will suggest a book that I happen to like and I use for the practitioners. Another word that is used instead of Vastu Shastra is Sthapatya Veda. And the person who made this Sthapatya Veda is that precise one that I'm talking about. Like literally, if you call a Sthapati in South India, they're called Sthapatis. They make the temples and the palaces. You call a Sthapati person to do Vastu for you. They will say your house is all wrong. Let's just tear it down and make a new house. No, 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 no. We don't do that. That's not possible. We use the basic principle of Vastu Shastra as to what helps you. Another thing is your home is an entity. Does it make sense? It is an actual entity. And whatever is in our karma comes through our, comes to us through our home also. Does it make sense? Let's say Yuki has a nakshatra and in her karma, she's supposed to have, lots of money and abundance and whatnot, right? And then when Yuki has a home, all that abundance will be reflected. But Yuki is also supposed to have, let's say, a problem with skin issues or something like that. So that part of the house will reflect her skin issues. I'll give you another example. Last year, we had a student who shared this with everybody. She lived in Alaska. She's moved since. And so we do the blueprint where she shared the blueprint design of her house. And we kind of map it with the Vastu Purusha that I'll tell you. And I was just telling in class that, look, this is missing in your home. This particular area is missing. And usually when that happens, you cannot stay with one partner or the marriage falls off or the partnership falls off. And she said that's exactly what happened with her first marriage. And even with the second marriage, which is a good one, her husband, the job he's gotten is he's always traveling 6 months of the year. Then they moved and she's building a house based on Vastu in Costa Rica. And now his job doesn't require him to move. And then there was a problem with her, the water area in her house. And we corrected the Vastu and the water leakage stopped. This is a real story. And she made her own yantras and keystones. And I have pictures of that. And I'll share it with you because she wanted to share it with everybody. So just to let you know how powerful Vastu is. Vastu is a direct result of our karma. Oh yeah, Francisca, we talked about Donna, right? Yeah, she made these amazing things. I love such amazing students. I mean, she did a much better job than I would have done with the whole. If any one of you is an artist, you would really love that class. So who is this Vishwakarma person? Yeah, exactly. So the architect of the devas. So, you have a different planet. I've talked about this. You have different planetary systems. We live in a planet called Earth. And we are, are you guys into reading Tolkien or anything like that? And they talk about this Middle Earth, right? or middle realm. And we are actually middle because we're right in the middle. It's 14 planetary system. Think of it as like plates stacked on each other, and each plate is round planets and so on. And so we have seven above us and 6 below us, the nether realms and whatnot. So just above us, what other people call heaven is actually what I call the we call it Svargalok. You go in that Svargalok or heaven, and you have to come back after your good deeds have expired, and you come back to earth anyway, or you go to the animal species. This particular planet called Svarga, which is just above us, which is what most of us, we want to go to heaven. That's the heaven we are trying to go. That's because it's still in the material world. And the person who is there, who is in charge of all the architecture for the angels and the, actually angels are called Gandharvas, not Devas, Gandharvas and so on. Yakshas are dwarves, magical dwarves and whatnot. Yeah, so if you read Tolkien, I believe Tolkien really was interested in the Vedic philosophy, because everything, the dwarves, the dragons, all of those characters are part of, if you read the Vedic literature, it's very interesting. So he is the divine engineer and architect. Not only that, he's also the deity of tools. Let me write that down. So in India, every person who has any kind of tool, on a certain day, it's called Vishwakarma Day. It is the appearance day of Vishwakarma. Nobody will touch tools, because anyone who does anything, and there's like certain days they follow for Vishwakarma. So if you have tools or you work with tools, you can invoke Vishwakarma, and you actually do puja, you do rituals on your tools to bless your tools, so Vishwakarma blesses your tools. So this is one thing, when you do any kind of change in your home and you use tools, the tool itself should be blessed. So that is one of the things that we do. He constructed some places on the earth. For example, he constructed Dwarka, he constructed Indraprasth, which is now the Delhi Zoo. We can go in Google Maps and look at it. So it is customary for engineering community. So there's actually engineering colleges in India. You go in and there'll be a big statue of Vishwakarma and things like that. Not the big ones, but like small ones. A lot of architect students. I have so many friends who went on to become architects. They study Vastu. You got to study Vastu. There's a branch, they study Vastu architecture, because every Indian wants a Vastu home. Interestingly enough, if you live in a community where there are a lot of Indians, I have given this example before, in Dallas, in New England area, in wherever, in New Jersey, where Indians live, the price of houses go really, really high, because Indian people will give $50,000 more, $30,000 more for a more Vastu compliant home. Like even me, I moved into this house, we threw every single, because if I'm not going to touch a stove where they had made red meat, sorry, it has to be new. So everything new, everything new. Yeah, so we do that. I have a friend who is Ayurveda practitioner, but she used to be a student. She's in Dallas. And she got into Vastu. I mean, she's still an engineer and she still has a job, but her husband, who was also an engineer, got into Vastu and got into doing real estate. And that's all he does. He helps find Vastu real estate. That's all. That's a profession. And the area where the Indians live in Dallas, and same in Atlanta, same, they will raise the price because, and even regular, like you'll find this Russian realtor or something, and they know about Vastu, because we Indians are nuts about Vastu. So it's a big thing. It's a big thing. I don't know why Zillow hasn't caught on. At some point, the Zillow will have the Vastu tools. I won't be surprised. Actually, someone should launch a Vastu tool website for real estate. That would be a hit, honestly. So let's understand, before we move on, there is something called Vastu Purusha Mandala, VPM. In our Vastu circle, we use the word VPM. I will say VPM because Vastu Purusha Mandala is a huge thing. So there's a backstory there. I just told you that Vastu is your house, your home is an entity, right? And has anyone felt energy of your home or compared to energy of someone else's home or energy of a place? Even if no one is living there, has somebody felt that? Everybody, right? What is that energy? Because there, the place where you live is an entity. There's a story. So it is said that there was once Shiva was fighting with actually a Danava, not a Asura. So there's many classifications of demons, right? One is Asura, Danava, Daitya, and so on. And then he started sweating. There's so many interesting stories of Shiva. If his dreadlock falls, it creates an entity. If his sweat falls, it creates an entity. He's all powerful. He's the father of the universe. So a drop of sweat came out of him, and it came out of the fatigue of Shiva. And this amazing big entity was born. And then it started because it came out because Shiva was a little fatigued. He wanted some energy. So this entity that came out, it started devouring the prana energy of everything around it. And then, oh my God, all the 33 devatas, the 33 crore devatas are the in charge. I mean, let me give you an example. If you run a restaurant, you need a manager, you need cooks, you need um, dishwashers, you need so many people. If you run a company like Amazon, you have I don't know, hundreds and thousands of people working for you. Even in order to run the universe, you need a lot of staff. So these devatas are running. They're not gods. We call them demigods. Or some people call them angels. They're categories that are running the universe. To run a little restaurant or a little business, you need so much staff. So to run the universe, the staff is needed as well. So this was a problem. There's an entity and it's taking the life energy and prana of everything in the universe. So what they did was these devatas got together. So there is basically 10 directions. Let me show you the directions. I'm going deeper into the story this time. Can you tell me the directions that you know? What are the directions, please? That's 4 directions. Anyone else? Yes. So you have north, south, you have north, south, east, west, you have northwest, northeast, you have southwest, southeast, and then you also have up and down as in 3 dimension. Because we are not, the direction that you said is in 2 dimensions, right? The 2 dimensions are ashtadik, it's called. Ashtadik means 8 directions, but there are actually 10 directions if you count it in 3 dimensions. Because in 3 dimensions you have, so there is the up, down, and sideways, right? So 8 plus 2 makes 10 directions. So these are the 10 directions. And that is ashtadik plus 2 directions. I just read this whole story in one of the Puranas not long ago, so it's very fresh in my head. So now the 45 devatas, why did we say 45 devatas? These people who kind of run the universe, the Adityas and whatnot, who run different parts. Somebody's in charge of rain, somebody's in charge of ocean, somebody's in charge of this, somebody's in charge of fire, water, air, the Panchamahabhutas, all of that, right? So these people came and started standing. I'm going to try and see if I can do it. They went and started pushing this Vastu Purusha, this entity down. Somebody was standing here, here, here. So these devatas started standing here. This round represents these devatas, these guardians of the universe. If you know, guardians or in charge, the management of the universe, right? And they all started standing in these directions. Sometime 2 were standing here, 3 were standing here. They started pushing this entity down onto the earth. inside the earth. And they were able to push him about like 1 feet or 2 feet under the earth. And they pushed him in such a way that his face was down. So he was on his stomach and his legs were together. And I'll show you what it looks like. So they pushed this entity, this down about 2 feet under the earth. Right? Is everybody clear on this? Now this entity is is come out of Shiva. It's a, you know, he's not a demon, but he needs to survive. So he started saying, "Oh Brahma, you have pushed me in the earth, but I need food. I need energy because this person ate energy. So what do I do?" So Brahma, who is the creator of the universe, said, "Hey, okay, you know, we've pushed you down, but you have come out of Shiva, so you're a positive. How about you stay on earth and you the energy and the offerings of the people who live in any dwelling, you can accept their energy. So if you live in a house, every house has this entity, and all our good energy, we can offer this energy in the form of, we can offer in form of our actions, we can offer it in the form of rituals, we can offer it to you. And by offering it, the Vastu Purusha, you can then bless those people who live in the dwelling. So this was kind of a contract made between Brahma and this person. Is everyone clear on that? I know it's a long story. Everybody clear? Awesome. I have saved this. And this is the Vastu Purusha. So you see, when this, all those, you know, management guardians of the universe, I'm saying guardians and I'm reminded of, you know, Marvel movies or whatnot, but these so-called guardians of the universe, when they pushed this Vastu Purush down, he was sitting like this. So this is how he's under the earth, 2 feet under the earth. And every time you cut a land and you make a new house or a new plat or new, as many times as you cut land, there is a new Vastu Purusha that appears there. Does it make sense? So meaning the Vastu Purusha in Alyssa's house compared to Sandra's house compared to Jenny's house, you all have a Vastu Purusha under your house who lives under your feet. Is clear? Yeah? Now look at all the directions. So the way he sits is his head is in the north east. His feet are in the southwest. Legs are in the northwest. This one is southeast. This is Brahmasthanam is the empty place, his GI tract. Yeah, it's empty. And are you seeing how it is? So you have your north, you have the east. Yeah, you seeing how he's sitting down? Let's say you have a house or a plot of land and it is shaped like this. Now let me change the color. This is your home. Do you see? This is what a home looks like. And they make homes like that, right? So in that case, the feet of the Vastu Purusha are missing in your home, and a part of the, you know, backside is missing. Part of the head is missing. So the diseases, like the way I've made, there are parts, a little bit of shoulder is missing, ear is missing. And this is basically what the Vastu consultant does, is find out what all is missing here. And we basically rectify and correct this mistake. Every time a limb is missing, does it make any sense what I just did? So there'll be two Vastu Purusha mandalas, one for your plat of land and one for your house separately. So Yuki is asking me, is backyard included in a house? Yuki, you're direct messaging me. Yeah. Yeah. So you then if I have to come to your house and I do a Vastu consultation for you. Then I will make 2 maps, or you do it and I'll help you do it. You will make one for your land and one for your home separately. Let's say this is for your home. If your home is like that in its cut, then we have to do rectification in such a way. I mean, if the legs are missing, which represent southwest of the area, then there'll be problems with money. There'll be problem with kapha. There'll be problem with feeling grounded. There's so many issues that might happen, right? So we will rectify it. If this is for the land, let me do it for the land. Sometimes lands are very, very weird. Let's say sometimes the lands are like this. Like a weird shape. Have you seen plats of land that have this weird shapes? Like a triangular shape, or, it's cut from different places. So this is like a land. In this case, the entire head is missing. Vata diseases, Vata issues, feet are missing, kapha issues. So we can rectify that as well. So we do it separately, both for the backyard, or, the plat of land in which the house sits, and separately for your house. And if you have like 2 buildings in that land, then you will do separately for each building. If you have 3, like, I know, Sandra, like you have your main home, and then you have the horse stable, though technically that's not a home. And that's it. You have 2 different. So we do a different one for the different Vastu, but Vastu for where the horses are kept is different. And Vastu for home is different. Vastu for office is different, and things like that. So it's very complicated. It's a whole, like it's a system, right? All right. Have I lost everybody yet? Is it too complicated? Are we okay? So there was this city in the coast of Gujarat in West India. It's called Dwarka. It was Krishna's city, and it was basically an island created by Vishwakarma on the, in the ocean, basically. Oh, VPM is Vastu Purush Mandala. Mandala. Yeah, exactly. So there is a documentary about this. They have basically restored this. There is a very famous Angkor Wat temple also. We can share that. Oops. Very famous, it looks like a mandala. All right, this we just did. So basically each direction has a presiding deity. Can you think of why it has a presiding deity and who these presiding deities are? Think about the story that I told you of how this Vastu Purusha, this entity which was created by Shiva's sweat, was pushed by certain guardians. So now you know that story. Who are the presiding deities? Think about it. You already know the answer. I told you already. No? Anu? Francisca? You're going to pretend you're not here. All right, I'll tell you. Okay. So remember that story I told you, the guardians of and the management, the grahas, they helped to push this Vastu Purusha, this entity, down on the earth about 1 to 2 feet under the earth. So when this Vastu Purusha kind of made a contract with Brahmaji, these particular guardians or grahas decided to stay in this direction. Anyway, each direction in Vedic culture has its own presiding deity. There's a presiding deity for everything. Even for sleep, there is a presiding deity. So if someone has insomnia, you're supposed to say the yantra. You have to have the sleep yantra and the sleep mantra and invoke Nidra Devi, and the Nidra will come. So yeah, it's a whole ritual. I studied this in a lot of detail. It's like, yeah, my brother used to call me, witch, because I knew all of these things. Anyway, uh, so for east direction, it is ruled by the sun. West is ruled by Saturn, and the colors are also different. East, the color is, because it's ruled by the sun, the color is what? It is the color of the rising sun. And then southeast is more, and then you have southeast is ruled by fire, basically, and Agni Dev. Fire, the presiding deity for fire is Agni Dev, you know that, right? Um, Northeast is ruled by water, the Pancha Mahabhutas, so water, and Varuna is the presiding deity. Like he's called Poseidon in the Greek. I don't know what he's called in different. I mean, in different cultures, they're called different names, but they're the same entities, and we just call them by different names and put different dresses on them depending on where we are. Agni is also worshipped by like Zoroastrians and so on. And then you have the Vayu and also the Jupiter, because remember the multiple guardians were standing in multiple areas pushing this Vastu Purusha down, right? And then, so you have the grahas. Grahas are the sun, Venus, Mars, Yama, Shani, Moon, Mercury, Jupiter. You also have the Pancha Mahabhutas ruling these areas and so on. So one of the things you need to do is, before you come for the next class, you should have at least a basic idea of this chart: southeast, east, northeast, north. And why is this empty? Remember, I used the word Brahmasthanam. Now, can anybody tell me where would the head of the Vastu Purusha be in this chart? In which direction? This is the head, which is the foot, the feet. No one? Southwest. What about his abdomen area? Empty middle. This is Brahmasthanam. This should always be empty. This area should be empty. So for example, if you have a plot of land and you make your house right in the middle, you've covered the Brahmasthanam, then that itself is a problem. So we are not even in one of the things that I notice, and Anu, tell me, and Aditi, tell me if I'm wrong. We are so in India, we are just like, entrance should be east, entrance should be east, entrance should be east. We don't care about anything else. Have you noticed that? We are so focused on that entrance should be east. No, but depending on your nakshatra, for some people, east is a bad direction. Whatever your nakshatra, each nakshatra has a direction, and we're going to calculate what your direction is. For some people, east is for some people, south is an okay direction. So it depends on what your nakshatra is in your chart. All right. So does everyone have their phone? Everybody whip out your phones if you have them. Put it in front of the computer or wherever you're sitting, and tell me which direction is right across you. Which direction are you facing? I will wait 1 minute. Southwest, east. So best direction when you're studying, gaining knowledge, giving knowledge is always north or east. East is number one. I'm also facing east. In fact, it's a very awkward angle in my office to be facing east, but that's the angle you want to be facing. Yes. But if you were like, if in a school situation, if you had come to see me, I would make sure I am the one who's giving the knowledge facing east. You can be west because you're on the receiving end. Yeah, east is a good direction. It's the best direction for studies. In fact, they have done studies on east. They've had kids doing their lessons. This is back in South India. They did these studies, facing east and doing their lessons, and facing south and doing their lessons. Same lesson, everything, no difference. The kids in East did a lot better on their exams, and they just overall fared better. So you all whipped out your mobile phones, and there's an app called Compass, right? All of it. And did you notice there were like 4 needles in it, and one is south, east, north, west, right? Everybody has that. Everybody has used a compass now. Yes. Okay. Let me tell you, if you were on a boat right now, and anybody from Canada here? Anyone's from Canada in this group? Nobody? Okay, no problem. Or somewhere up in near the Canadian border? Anyone? Near the Canadian border? Nobody? Okay, no problem. So let's say you, okay, almost. So let's say you're in a boat and you need to kind of go north, and this is a problem. Now, people who used to ride on boats, they had these ancient instruments. If you go to a museum like naval ships and whatnot, you can see the ancient nautical instruments. And they look very, very funny and very complicated. Have you seen these nautical instruments? Why? Because when you take your compass, the compass aligns with the magnetic pole. So you have 2 poles, right? What are the 2 poles of Earth? What are the 2 magnetic poles? Okay, let's make a whiteboard very quickly. So you have the Earth. I don't know why I have made it this color. Let me change the color to green. That's better. That's better. You have Earth. Can everybody see my Earth? Yeah. And you know, and you've studied this in school, that there are these magnetic lines. We all know this, right? I'm not doing a good job. These are magnetic lines that, and one of them is South Pole and one of them is North Pole. Everybody with me? Right? And when you use your compass, the compass points towards here or here. Why does your compass point towards these 2 poles, the North and South poles? It automatically aligns itself to these 2 poles. Why? Anyone? Exactly. It's a magnetic, the compass uses the magnetic effect. In fact, if you have a handheld compass, it will automatically align. In fact, even if you take some iron shavings, they have these kids experiments with iron shavings, and you put it in such a way, they automatically align themselves to the magnetic. So this is not the true north. The true north of Mother Earth, let me change the color, is this. Do you know what is the difference between this area and this area? It keeps on changing from century to century. What is the difference? What is the difference between these two? But what is the actual distance? Yes, it is something 20, 22, 20 to 23. It is 500 kilometers. So imagine if you're on a boat and you have to go north, and your compass is showing here and you're 500 kilometers off. And every year, this angle is increasing and increasing and increasing. You can go on the geophysics geology websites maintained by the US government. There's a lot of information on this, right? Is everybody, why am I giving you a lesson on this? So this is called magnetic north. And this is called true north. And there's a good between 20 to 23 degrees difference in it, right? Why do we need to know this? Because for our Vastu purpose, the Vastu Purusha, when we do all these direction, is aligned towards the true north, not the magnetic north. That means your compass is wrong by a good 20 degrees. Is everybody on the same page? So when some of you said east or southwest, you're off by 20 degrees, easy. And some of you, if your like house is facing not exactly aligned to the true north, then you might be off by an entire direction. Very important to use true north. And this difference is called magnetic inclination or declination. And this angle of declination changes. Yes, it is off. Yeah, you need to use true north. For Vastu purposes, you need to use, I'm going to come to that. So one way to calculate is, if you know how to do the math, is add those 20 degrees when you're calculating true north, or simply use another tool. And we're going to talk about that other tool. Can everybody see this? I'm sharing the PowerPoint again. Yeah. So there's another, so you have, this will automatically, the north magnetic pole, this will point towards this, right? So that answers the question why those nautical instruments were people who used to use the seas, the Navy people. Why did they have? Because every time they had to go somewhere, they had to calculate that magnetic inclination, the declination, the 20 off degrees when they were, imagine for them, they will end up somewhere else if they use only the magnetic north, right? So your next question is, how are we going to find this true north? Yay, we have a tool. It's called Google Maps. Yay, Google Maps. Now everybody open your Google Maps on your computer. Oh my God, my Google device just opened the maps. Oh God, that's so funny. Hey Google, stop. Has everybody opened their maps? Just letting you know, every room in our house is smart. There is either an Alexa, Google Maps, Nest, cameras, like downstairs, not upstairs. It's just everywhere. There is a voice command. Atul has done this. Once you've opened the Google Maps, open your, type in your address wherever you are. Type in your home address. Whatever, A, B, C, D, 32nd Lane, Blaine, city, whatever, right? And on the bottom, you will see this is like a, so a Google map, no matter where you are, is always using true north. It never uses magnetic north. So we use, whenever we do anything, even if we have to visit someone in person to do a Vastu consultation, we always check it on Google Maps first. And guess what? It's free, right? I remember when there was no Google Maps. I don't know how many of you learned to drive and you used to actually use physical maps. Anybody use those? And you're looking. I've been terrible with maps, but this Google Maps really helped. And exactly, and you're sitting next to a person and you have the maps open. I know exactly, Shalimar, the paper maps. I still like the paper maps though, but it's not practical, right? Yeah, yeah. But not everybody can read them, Sandra. I could never understand, but I can understand the Google. It's so much easier, right? Anyway, once you have opened your Google Maps, for example, this is a picture of the San Francisco, this is the Golden Gate Bridge. And so when you open them, can you please locate the true north? Automatically, where is the top is the true north. And once you've located north, you can locate the other directions immediately, right? Because if this is north, this is south. right? Has everybody located that for your home? So north is always on the top. When Anu was hunting for a home in Germany, she was sending me all her addresses. I don't know which one you moved into, Anu, finally, if you actually got to use any of the stuff. Yeah. So can you tell if anybody has figured out if your house is facing north or facing south from the Google Maps, or facing east or west? If you haven't, that's okay. We're going to teach you how to do that. If you figured it out, where your house is there, okay, yeah, okay. So what we want to do is, we want to find out whosoever is the main breadwinner of the family. Let's say your husband is the main breadwinner. Then we find out his nakshatra and we find out his direction. If his direction is south, that's great. If his direction is not south, then you also have a north entrance, right? I've seen that. Then that should be also an entrance you should use. Exactly. Anyone else who's figured out their yeah, no, I'll show you. Don't worry about it. We will do. Today's the first class. This is me introducing you. So by the time we finish Vastu, you guys would be able to do this. But having said this, Vastu requires a little bit of like a mathematical bent. And if you were really not good that much in, yeah, or I'm not mathematical, actually geometrical bent. That's the right word. Your front door faces north, your house faces north. Great. Yuki, my house is facing south, but front door is facing west. No, I just want where house is facing, not the front door. We haven't got to the front door part yet. That's all. We'll get to that. Francisca, yours? Christina, yours? Okay, another thing, even if you, for example, if you live in an apartment building, where does the apartment building face? Because your door is going to be different than your apartment building, right? Southeast. Okay. So in your case, Francisca, we will look at the nakshatra of your husband and your own nakshatra. We'll calculate, and then so we'll do that activity in one of the next classes. That'll be fun. Yeah. So one of the things we've already done this. Now let's talk about where your door faces, not your house, where you enter from. So some of you, like if you have a garage, a lot of people, when we have a garage in the house, when we park the car and we come out of the garage, it's a different entrance that you're using, right? Which is the main entrance that you use for coming in and out of your house? Anybody can tell me? Yuki said west. You use north. You never use your front door. Which is the entrance that you actually use? Like if you're coming in from a garage door, let's say, or the back, let's say garage door faces east, northeast. Okay. Back door north. Okay. Okay. So in Vastu, entrance is kind of important. So if we had to give weightages to different points of Vastu, entrance would be given, good 15, 20% marks. Oh, this is 35%. So I made this 1 year ago. Since 1 year, I've been studying a lot of Vastu texts. So I have decreased the entrance energy from 35 to, I would say, 15. Okay, maybe 20, but not as much. And there's a reason for it. Because the entrance, it depends. If you have the person who is the main breadwinner of the family, you have to look at that person's nakshatra, right? So depending on what the nakshatra is, a south entrance may be good for a certain nakshatra, but for another nakshatra, it may be bad. But it's usually the main breadwinner of the family. And if you have two people who are both earning, the person who is earning the more maximum amount is kind of there. We want to see if both are earning equal, then we look at both. So some of the general, this is not calculated by nakshatras, general entrance in east is best. But once we do the nakshatra, and we're going to do this activity in one of the next classes, then we can tell you. Northeast is best. Oh, sorry, northeast is good, east is best, southeast is good, northwest kind of like okay, not amazing, okay. North is good, southeast is okay. Only, it's like a 5-degree area that is okay, the rest is not okay. And we will talk about why certain areas are okay and why not. So one of the things is when you guys make a design, whether so the mudroom, here's a question about mudroom. No, the entry from when you open the door and enter the mudroom, that's the one that we want to do. Whether the mudroom opens in left, right, doesn't matter. Yeah. If the magnetic direction of the front door is northeast, the direction is between. Yes. Yes, that's right, Anu. Uh, you'll have to understand what nakshatra is first. Do you know what nakshatra is? That'll take me 1 hour to explain. If you know it, then I can tell you in 1 second. Kinda. For example, I mean, I'll just give you one example. I'll give you my example. So I am Bharani Nakshatra. So Bharani Nakshatra, the best direction is actually west, then east. And south is semi okay for me. But yeah. Yeah. Or let's say somebody has Purva, no, Punarvasu Nakshatra. Just I remember this because my son's a Nakshatra. Punarvasu Nakshatra, east is the best direction for them if they're the main breadwinner. Ardra, east is actually a bad direction for them. Again, main breadwinner. But if both parties are earning, then still you give more. Yeah, I know how it is. So we look at all of that. So you have my book, Ayurveda and the Feminine. There is a chapter on Vastu. Please read it. Forget this book. There is, how many of you are really interested in going deep in this topic? Because we have such limited classes. I mean, I'll do like 4 sessions and Atul is going to do another 4 sessions. We are done. The rest is watching videos. But if you want to go deeper into it, like I said, you can audit some practitioner classes. And if you want to go deeper, then you can get this book, Vastu Workbook by Talavane Krishna MD. And let me share.